And welcome to qualifying for the 6 hours of Hockenheim. My name is Dan No Skill, and I'm joined here today with Luca Centorbi. How are you doing, Luca Centorbi?
I'm doing fantastic this afternoon. There's a nice track here, my home GP, as you might say. I'm quite German myself, so I can't wait to see these cars going around this track for this qualifying session.
It certainly is going to be exciting here for another weekend of racing at Project Endurance Season 5. It is round 2. You can see there the times for the start of qualifying, which is obviously right now, and the race tomorrow on Sunday, which, Luca, I believe you're also going to be there for some of. Are you looking forward to it?
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see the cars going around this track. Maybe seeing some battles on track between the LMDH cars and the GT3s, as you can see here on the screen right now, the GT3 class. Well, I can't wait to commentate tomorrow, also a 2-hour stint. It's going to be very interesting and very exciting to watch.
Indeed it is, and we've got a lot of drivers to look out for on track here today, don't we, Captain? Who are some of your favorites that you're looking forward to seeing out on track?
Right now, my favorites are still the AOT Turtle Beach team, who won last time on the Shanghai circuit, but the Apex One, who got a team both in the LMDH class and the GT3 class, is just going to be a team to watch out for, as Apex One even got 2 cars in the LMDH class, and it's just last time during the race in Shanghai was just so many cars switching positions because of strategies and just on-track positions. But also on the GT3 standings, there are also some cars there which I want to watch out for. For example, the OC Racing Lifeless car, there's a car which I would watch out for. That was quite strong last time in Shanghai, and I can't wait to see them here around Hockenheim once again.
It's going to be really exciting to watch all of these cars as we see the GT3s beginning their outlaps ready to start qualifying. Now, we'll see the times begin to drop as the session goes on, but for now, these guys are going to get themselves warmed up, get on the track, and usually in endurance racing qualifying sessions, we see them take a little bit more time, don't we, before they do their push laps. They tend to build their confidence on the track and build some temperature in the tires as well.
Yeah, these cars really need to warm up the tires, get into that tire window where the tires just grip up the most, where the trail braking and acceleration just fits the perfectly amount. Even with the fuel amount, sometimes the lightest is not what you want. The car being a bit heavier gives you more downforce and more traction through corners. So sometimes these drivers will take a few more laps than usual just to get to the right window.
They certainly do. They take their time, these GT3s. We're on board at the moment with Cubic System. You can see another Mercedes out there in the wall at the side, showing just how tricky this circuit can be. And it is a hard one, Hockenheim. I think especially the sector we're seeing now towards the end of the lap can get quite tight. And it does require some strong, solid driving to navigate through well. So let's see. Currently, the 217 car with a 138.7 tops the timing sheets. Let's see if this car can go any quicker. And it is. It's 136.8. So Cubic System take provisional pole here.
Yeah, these GT3s, different cars today. We have quite a few arrangement of cars going on. For the GT3 class, we have 22 cars around, 14 Mercedes cars, 6 Lamborghini cars, and 2 Lexus. No Audis for today. And just each car handles differently and has their own setup. Each driver also having their own setup as well. So we gotta see which car nails the setup for today, which gets them a perfect start for tomorrow's race.
Exactly. Qualifying for endurance races, although it's not the most important thing ever, the further up the grid you start, it will help you out on those opening laps. As we see, the number 666 team, they move themselves into P2. Only a 10th off pole.
Yeah, the 666 team not having one of the best races yesterday. I believe they only finished in 5th. Yes, I mean in Shanghai. They finished 6th there. Maybe looking to improve their position in this weekend race. So a good position, as you said, is not really the whole of the race, but having a clean start, being already in the front, will help for the long race.
It definitely will. We saw how Cubic System on this lap were affected a little bit with traffic, and that is the problem you have when you've got 21 of these GT3 cars trying to set their fastest time. They are going to encounter traffic and other cars, so not just getting a good lap, but also getting the right window is going to be crucial to setting those fast times. And it looks like the 31 car is setting the pace at the moment.
Yeah, as you said, with a lot of cars, small track, it's just really difficult to navigate you around your path right here. It's just, these cars aren't the tiniest of cars, and the GT3 cars are really wide, so sometimes you need to find your pace, sometimes a clean window up ahead. As with a lot of cars, it's a bit difficult.
We see here the Apex 1 number 1 car sets a 36.7 to take provisional pole, driven by Kobaki there. A good lap from him. He's going to be very happy with that, and he probably won't be happy with how I pronounce his name because I imagine I butchered it.
Yeah, these names being from Polish, us English commentators might have a bit difficult pronouncing that. But the Apex 1 having won in Shanghai might be looking to go for another win this weekend, so having already put the lap here, already the pace, is something that they're quite happy around here.
Yeah, we saw all of the Apex 1 teams last time around were really strong, and again looking strong here now, currently sitting with a 136.7 on the board. Let's see if FNL RT can do anything about that in their green Mercedes. They're flying around at the moment, currently 4/10 off the pace, but that can easily be found if you can hook up a good lap.
Yeah, with GT3 cars as well, just 4/10 are not as big as in LMP2 cars, but 4/10 is just like half a car length up ahead, as another car here goes into the pit lane, I believe, or completely leaving. But 4/10 is not a huge gap. Might one corner and you already get that gap done.
Indeed, we see AOT Turtle Beach currently in 5th there, having a pit stop, and getting a bit wide there. Apex 1 on the final curb. That's going to lose you a little bit of time, surely, or potentially a track cut, depending on how strict they are. Indeed. Okay, and then on board, looking at the 996 car, they're currently flying round. They've taken 5th place as well, moved themselves up the order. These teams at the back currently a couple seconds off the pace. Ooh, Park Motorsport just slowing down, I believe, to let traffic through. But they're going to need to see if they can find any extra tenths on this circuit. If you're a second, 2 seconds off the pace, you're going to want to close that in towards the front of the field. And these guys won't have done as much practice as they did for Shanghai, as they were testing before the season. So, you know, there's probably going to be a bit of a bigger gap than we saw last qualifying session.
Yeah, with these cars, now this time we only had like 3 weeks of practice. As for Shanghai, there was a lot more time. Maybe a few drivers already pre-practiced before. So we might see some gaps here just by skill, or maybe also luck, as racing is not only fully skill. But like with these cars, a corner might gain you a tenth, but another corner might lose you half a second. The grip level might not be as high, as aerodynamical downforce is not really the strongest on these cars, as they have huge wings, but mostly they work on mechanical grip, as it's the tire grip they work with. So we're gonna see a lot of tactics here with the cornering, with like different tactics with cornering, braking, and accelerating.
And someone who hasn't figured out their cornering is Team Delta Infinite. They are sat in the wall at the moment, just on the exit of one of the corners there. Not a great place to be if you want to set a fast time, but at least they were off the racing line. As we're back on board with the 666 car, you can see what it's like for these drivers. It's so twisty, so narrow, but hitting every apex here is the Polish team. You can see that sausage curb affects the cars a bit, but gains some time if they can go a bit wider and take it. Let's see if this lap can be an improvement. They're about to cross the line. They're not quite, still in 4th position for them. Bit of an improvement, I believe. They did go purple in the middle sector, but lost some time in the final sector, which is unfortunate, but it's easily done. Team Delta Infinite managed to get themselves running again too, and they're back on track now.
Yeah, these cars having a suspension level way better than the LMDH, just attacking all of these curbs. As we seen in turn 16, the penultimate corner where they go wide, taking all of that sausage curb. If you would take that with an LMDH, I believe you just jump away and go out of track. But these GT3 cars just can't take every part of the curb and not get unsettled enough. As you see here in turn 1, the AOT Eliminar, the cubic system car here going through turn 1, taking all of that inside sausage curb, but not getting upset at all. As, ooh, there's a car behind in the background going straight into the wall there. This must be a bit of damage. That's really not very nice there, going straight off, I might say.
No, not a great one to go off at there, especially towards the end part of the lap. We see Cubic System. They have taken the provisional pole position with a 136.5 and put themselves on top, which they'll be very happy with. Apex 1 trying to close the gap a little bit, but we saw Cubic System go purple in Sector 1 and 2 that lap. Very impressive. Midas Racing Black had issues with the wall, but they're back out now. They've got 1.2 seconds to the pace of the front runners, so let's see if they can do anything to catch back up.
Yeah, my eyes are on the Cubic System team and the Apex 1 team, as they're both in Shanghai, went 1-2 as well. Apex 1 getting that pole position in Shanghai, but this time looks like the Cubic System is up on top and Apex 1 up in second, but just a 500s difference. So we might see a change of positions here still in qualifying. We must see what the session will still give us.
Definitely still a lot to come. We've got 18 minutes left of qualifying here, and the drivers just starting to get hooked up with the track. You will see them maybe stay out for a couple laps, hop into the pits and refuel. You want to find that balance between the fuel and the tires. Obviously, the lighter your car is, the quicker you are going to go. We've got Grid Racing here, the number 794 car. They're trying to make their way a bit further up the grid. You can see how the sausage curb affects their car there as they try and go over it. They've gone green through Sector 2. Let's see if they're able to make up any positions. Will they be closer to the pace as they head across the line? Oh, and it's not quite an improvement for Grid Racing. They stay 15th this time round.
I like how the pace between the top 10 drivers is not even a second of a difference. That shows that the drivers are really up on the pace here and also taking all of the time that they can with these cars. With the difference as well, each driver adapting to their own, and it's interesting to see just not one team dominating the entire time, as each different car has their ups and downs. It depends. The Lamborghini car here with the OC Racing Lifeless team, the Lamborghini being very aggressive, but everyone taking the sausage curb, as we see here, and turn 16 not taking that sausage curb, but all the curb that they can, they all take it.
They improved their time, the OC Racing crew do, but it's not enough to move them up into P9, so they stay in P10 for now. Top 10, not too bad of a place to be, but you're going to want to close up towards the front runners. This number 3 car, the 222 FNL RT, they've gone purple in Sector 1. They're absolutely flying at the moment, and look to be up on their delta still, as we see on board with them now what it's like going through this twisty section. You can see misses a little bit the curb there, but you don't want to get too close when there's a sausage like that on your inside, because that can vastly unsettle the car. They've gone green through Sector 2, still a 10th up on their last lap time, and the WRS team there getting a little bit out of place. Here we go then. Still on board with the car in third place, improving all the time through these corners. You can see trying to hook it up, get a little bit on the curbs there. You can be quite aggressive on the throttle, and the confidence these drivers have, they're really ingrained with this track now. We'll see how much it takes on the outside. Not too much to avoid upsetting the car. About to come across the line. Will it be an improvement? No, not quite enough for P2. You can see now, though, within a 10th of first place. So they've got it in them for pole position.
Yeah, I believe for these drivers, the end of Sector 2 is what really hangs on with this lap. Turn 7, the fast right-hander turn 8, then 8, the hairpin on the left hairpin, and then turn 9, 10, 11 being a fast right-hander, 3 different corners, but one smoothing part. So I think that's where all the time can be gained or lost. Also with turn 1, with being a fast right-hander, no braking, minimal braking, just wants to keep as much speed through there. Just want to see what the drivers take with the lines, as we've done in Shanghai as well. Not every driver taking the same line. Maybe there are some aggressive lines, some defensive lines, or maybe some lines that the drivers just like more, which the car just handles better at.
We see the number 794 grid racing car. They've managed to make up a place on the other grid car and move themselves into 14th. Park Motorsport there. You can see, like Luca was talking about, how the difference in curb and how much you want to take changes between drivers. And it'll be driver preference as well as car setup will determine how much curb you want to take. But you've got to find the balance between maximizing your lap time and also minimizing how much you upset the car. Let's see if Park Motorsport can do anything. They're about to come across the line. Currently in 12th. And they stay 12th. No improvement on this lap. We'll see how they take this turn 1. You can see trying to use as much of the track limits as possible there.
Yeah, the track limits being the curbs on the inside and outside. So turn 1 for normal other sports teams looks as a corner cut, but with these cars and this sport, it's just cutting as much as you can, but still staying on what the car still it calls the track. What we call the curb is just where the car is still grip the most, and with each corner, some corners you take more, some corners you take less. Also depends on the elevation changes. As here in Hockenheim, there is still some banked corners, some degrees, and also it's a bit difficult as well to gain the grip as the tires one. There's Apex 1, as we saw in the turn 1, sliding out there off the curbs as well, as that's something you don't want to do. Upset the rears going into the fast corner, even if it's a right-hander or a left-hander.
The battle for pole is truly on, though, between Cubic System and Apex 1, because Apex 1 just went purple in the final sector on that last lap and are now within 8 thousandths of pole position. That must feel really bad. And Team Delta getting all upset in the gravel trap. Clearly they're making a bit of a mistake. But the battle for pole position, a three-way fight at the moment. And we see other teams still lighting up the timing sheet. So we've got plenty of time here for someone to take pole from Cubic System. They are not safe yet. Carito Racing Esports about to cross the line in P19th. Stay P19th for now. Still 2.1 seconds off the pace. And F&L have had a spin.
Yeah, I mean, these corners, as we saw that Team Delta going off in turn 10, the right-hander, which is really fast, but sometimes as a driver, you think you can take the corners as faster, but then the car just says, no thank you, and just slides off. Here we go through turn 10, the corner which I was talking about. And FML, as I said about the end of second sector, also really upsetting the car, and just a driver needing to fight the car mostly. Mostly what you want as a driver is that the car drives on rails and just handles its way through, but most drivers also want to have an unsettling setup where you gain the most time sliding through the corners.
It is all down to driver preference and how planted you want the setup to be, how the car feels to you. And you can see maybe some of these setups not quite working for a couple of the teams. Race Spot currently down in 20th and 21st. They are going to need to find a little bit more time to get themselves caught up on the pace. And it may not be that they're 3 seconds slower, but sometimes hooking that one lap up can be really difficult. So let's see if these guys have got any more in their back pocket. And just to let you know, cars still, currently the car in P6 has set a purple sector too, so cars still fighting for pole position, even if they're not within that 10th. And Race Spot jump their other Race Spot drivers and move into 20th.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it depends on hooking that one lap, that one crucial lap. As maybe you are on pace, but you just cannot get the grip in grip levels you want. Maybe in practice you think, oh, I got this lap down, and then in qualifying comes the pressure hits you, and you just cannot figure that out. And that's what sometimes shows that 3 seconds gap, even though they're not actually 3 seconds apart.
Number 20 car pushes themselves into the top 5 with a blistering lap, a purple sector 2 for them as well, so they'll be happy with that. Race Spot Academy, though, down in 21st. And, ooh, that's going to be a track cut, surely.
Yeah, some braking points. We out of the brake buys, going under the brakes, seeing how the car responds. Sometimes we see cars going wide into turn 1, losing the race and just sliding out. Sometimes we see cars just not even hitting the turn 1, as we saw that corner cut before. It just depends on drivers, what they do and what they take.
Some cars as well, you can see, are really pushing the limits and invalidating even in all of the sectors. Midas Racing Black, we see at the moment. Let's see how they take these corners. You can see how close they want to get to the white lines. But Apex 1 have gone purple in Sector 1. Let's see what they can do throughout the rest of the lap. That's a tricky hairpin. You've got to prioritize the exit on there because you've got a long run now towards this twisty middle sector. Apex 1, of course, massively in the fight for pole. So if they can even improve by 8 thousandths of a second, they will be on pole position. And I think they've got that in the bag at the moment. If they can keep finding the time that they're finding here, they've gone green through Sector 2. They're finding more and more time. Only the last couple corners now, you can see taking that wide line through there, using as much curb as possible. And that look hooked up. Hopefully that's not a track cut. It might have been. They were very much on the curb there. And if it has been a track cut, they will be disappointed. But we'll find out at the end of the lap. Here they come. The number 1 car looking for a pole position here at Hockenheim. They're about to round the final couple corners. Again, keeping it clean. Don't go too wide there. Might have just kept it in track limits. We'll see when they cross the line. And, oh, they lost the time in the last sector. Just couldn't keep it. And that was a blistering lap at the start there. Unlucky from Apex 1.
Apex 1 looking to get the second pole position of the season as they did in Shanghai, but I guess they couldn't just hook that last sector up and couldn't get that pole position. 8 minutes still in the session, so they can anything can still happen. For Apex 1, that's around 8 laps they can still do. But there's enough laps to maybe look to hook on another lap. If they can get that other Sector 1 again purple, they can redo it again. And maybe even get to Sector 2 and 3 as they wanted and get those 8,000s that they need to go up on pole.
Certainly plenty of opportunity still here in the last 8 minutes of qualifying. The car in 11, sorry, currently the 79 car, not able to improve as they cross the line, but still pushing on. All of these drivers trying to find some lap time. We see again the OC Racing car with their shark livery there. It's looking pretty good. I would say one of my favorites out there at the moment. They're currently making their way further up the top 10. We saw them down in 11th at one point before. They're now currently in 8th. They've gone faster in Sector 1, so let's see if they can get any time in hand. They're currently up on their delta if my live timing is correct. So we'll see what they can do in this tricky sector. Captain, do you think they've got a shot at the top 5 today?
I believe they have the knowledge and the practice. It just depends if they can all hook it together. Maybe even look about the traffic that they keep encountering. As we said, the pace could be there, but it's just if the luck is there for you to just be able to put that lap together.
It's not just luck, it's about finding the right position on the track. And they've gone wide at the final corner. They were 4/10ths up before that, and that has squandered their chances. And the pressure just must have got to them. Tried to take too much speed through the last corner. And unfortunately, not an improvement for OC Racing.
Yeah, we see that the 7/10th difference for pole there for the OC Racing team. It might be one corner, but also you can lose it in one corner. And it also always depends as a driver where you think you can improve. You're seeing your delta going green and you think like, oh, I'm so high, your pressure's getting to your head. And then in the final corners you saw OC Racing going wide. And just you just see your delta going red and like, oh, that's not what you want. 6 minutes remaining. Time is running out. The pressure getting more and more. Sometimes you want to have your fast lap at the beginning, so if anything happens, you can always do another one. But the final corner mistake must have been infuriating.
The 46 car here making a mistake in the last Sector 2. They'd gone faster in Sector 2 in the middle sector, but now just messed it up, and that would have been track limits for them. So unfortunately, no improvement on their half, and they're still 2.5 seconds off the lead and half a second behind Team Delta Infinite. So they're going to have to make some places up in the race. Maybe a good strategy can save them. Carito Racing Esports down in 17th at the moment. They've just gone faster in their final sectors and improved a little bit, but it's not enough to push them further up the grid just yet.
It's also interesting to see how everyone keeps improving their laps, and the lap times just going minimalizing the lap time more and more, but still not getting that position. As an improvement for 1/10 is an improvement, but not the improvement you want, as you want to improve your position and not just your time.
Car going off in front of Cubic's system there, rejoining the track. Just far enough in front that it's not going to be an issue for them, but they have, it appears, backed out of their fast lap, getting some heat into the tyres, and I imagine, as we're rounding the last couple corners, they're going to try and push for these final couple laps now in the last 4 minutes, so maybe just one push lap at a time for these guys at the front, rather than the typical 2 or 3 push laps in a row we see from the GT3s. Squadra Corsa, they've gone faster through Sector 1. They didn't gain time in Sector 2. Let's see if they can do anything through this final sector. They're in the top 5 at the moment. They'll be looking to push themselves towards the podium. Not quite an improvement. Just lost time in Sector 2 and 3. But they did have a fast first sector.
Rather, of course, also being very fast Sector 1, maybe having the setup just for that straight lane speed, as the Sector 1 is basically just 2 flat out straights. And then Sector 2 being a nice and curvy track, as Sector 2 just goes right, left, hard braking there. And then Sector 3 being like a mix of those two, with like a minimal long straight, and then going again into 3 hard braking zones. So it depends what setup the drivers get on these cars, if they want to have more top speed or more cornering abilities.
Race Spot Academy have moved themselves from the back of the grid up into 18th, so they'll be happy with that. We're looking now at the 666 car because they have gone purple in Sector 2, so clearly there's some pace in here. Sector 2, like Luca was just telling us, a twisty section of the track, but it's not enough for an improvement because they lost out in Sector 1 and Sector 3, so still going to be 6th for those guys there. It might push them up actually a bit into 6th place, but not quite enough for anywhere near the top paying positions just yet. Still 4/10 off those. Yes, compromising on the setup is a really important part of Hockenheim. It's a twisty track, but also there's some straights you can capitalize on. Apex 1 at the moment, they've gone fast in Sector 2. Let's see if they can make any kind of a gain, and no, it's still not an improvement. They're just looking for those 8,000s.
Time for Apex 1 is slowly running out. It's now 2 minutes 30 seconds remaining in the GT3 session. They have to look for something, as it's just not enough for a lot of laps anymore. Tops 2 laps if they keep these 2 push laps, or else it's gonna be a pole position for Cubic, or just not the pole for Apex 1, which they're hoping for. And just like what I said with the setup here, you want to look for straight lane speed and also cornering. Sometimes with maybe a Mercedes has it, or maybe a Lamborghini has it. You're just gonna see what your car is able to do. As many cars are different, obviously, but you as a driver also need to understand what the car is telling you to what it wants. As the driver, not only you have the voice, but the machine that you have under you also tells you stuff that really important as a racing driver.
Listening to the car is a crucial part of racing. We'll see if Grid White Tigers have been able to listen to their car. They're currently in 14th, which isn't too bad of a starting position for an endurance race, but not able to make up any more in this qualifying session with 1.5 minutes to go. So if you want to crack at pole position, now's your chance. OC Racing Ex-Lifeless moves themselves into 7th with a really good lap there. That's pushed them a lot closer into the top 10. They were at risk of falling out of the top 10 for a moment there, but they've managed to maintain that pace. Will Cubic System improve? They won't. Apex 1, again, not quite. FNL, they're going to try and top trumps these guys. They've still got a minute left, so one more push lap will be able to happen. But once you cross the line now, that's it. You're on your final lap because you've only got 1 minute to get around the track and the lap time is longer. So once that checkered flag is out, we'll see the end of qualifying. So this could be an exciting final minute.
I mean, the top 3 being so close, there are not even 100 differentiating them 3. It's interesting, there's battle for pole between these 3 drivers being wide open, as all 3 of those drivers have started their last lap now. And just, there's going to be the pressure being there, but sometimes drivers work better under pressure. as people say, diamond is made under pressure. So we're gonna see what these three drivers can put, or maybe a mysterious fourth driver getting that pole position is always the door open for them as well. As the top six are just differentiated by 5/10. It's just way too open for the battle of pole, as the session is gonna end in 5 seconds, and the last lap will appear. It's a final lap now for everyone. They're gonna complete this now. I'm gonna see the leaderboards, how much they're gonna change now. As I said, with the pressure, sometimes work better, sometimes work worse with this pressure. So, yeah, it's the final lap now.
Apex One going to be the first to cross the line out of these top three drivers. We'll see if they've managed to make an improvement. Rounding the final corner, will Apex One be able to take another pole position here after Shanghai? They will not. They stay P2. Cubic System pulled into the pits, so FNL, it's their last shot, and they also pull into the pits. Drivers coming in, so that is qualifying over for most of these drivers now. We'll see if anyone else is going to finish off a lap or if they're all going to head into the pit lane. Cubic System looks like they've taken provisional pole position or just final pole position here as everyone else heads back towards the pit lane. And that was an exciting last minute of qualifying there with no one quite able to capitalize. Unfortunately, we'll see what Park Motorsport can do. They're going to cross the line on their final lap. Have they made an improvement? Oh, not quite. They in 12th place. Here come Grid Racing. What have they been able to do? Nothing just yet. Staying in 12th for them. 13th, sorry. A good start. And we've got the OC Racing team in 7th. Are they flying? Will they be able to cook in this last lap? We'll see what they can do. A little bit wide there. Although it is a slightly cambered corner. And looks like they're not pushing either. They're heading back to the pits. So, on pole position for GT3 is the number 31 car of Cubic System. Their first pole position of the season. And I'm sure it's going to be exciting for them, Captain.
Yeah, I can't wait for the battle tomorrow on track. As last time in Shanghai, Apex One got that pole position with Cubic System, getting second place that race, as Apex One won it as well, from pole to finish. And maybe this time Cubic System can give them a more difficult battle, maybe even win that battle. We're going to see tomorrow what these two drivers and also the rest of this grid can do, as FNL is right there up on them as well with pace-wise. So tomorrow's race is something I sure can't wait to see.
It's definitely going to be an exciting watch tomorrow. We'll run you through your top 10. You've got the 31 car of Cubic System on pole. You've got the number 1 car of Apex One second. FNL, the 222 in third. You've got Park Motorsport in 4th. Grid White Tigers in 5th. A great lap from them. Midas Racing in 6th. I believe that's wrong, sorry, because we've had a couple drivers leave the server, so ignore all of that. But yes, Cubic System taking pole here today.
What a nice qualifying session for the GT3s. Just it shows the track how tricky it is with all the cars going off in qualifying. We saw each corner having a different approach and also a different mistake at times. It shows just what the driver setup just does with these cars. With turn 1 being mostly a corner where you go wide, but sometimes cars just cutting it as well. That line being a specific line, if you don't take it as the car wants it, the sausage cup can send you flying, or just you don't hit it at all and you just go way too wide. It just, everything is interesting as that. As also the part of the end of second sector, it's just something you want to nail on the head on the nail. You want to hit it as perfectly as possible, as it's just way too fast, and one spin and you see the wall in front of you or behind you.
I think it's all to play for tomorrow as well in the race at 1 o'clock CET, I believe. We've got hypercar qualifying coming up, though, so make sure you stick around for that, because this is our fastest set of cars that we'll see out on track, and we'll see the difference in the lap time around this historic German circuit. But wouldn't write out any of the top 5 GT3s for a chance at the win tomorrow. We even saw in 6th place, the 666 car, been able to set some purple sectors, and their fastest lap, none of their sectors was the fastest they'd got that day. So they've definitely got more time in the pocket, and being able to hook it up over a 6-hour endurance race will definitely pay dividends and could potentially put you on for a podium finish, if not the win. So tomorrow is where all the talking is done, and setting pole position is not the be-all and end-all. It's going to be an exciting race for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what now the LMP2s can do on this track with the GT3s taking their lines. We're gonna see now the LMDH taking their lines and also their speeds. It's gonna be incredible, just a speed difference between those cars. It's still cars on the outside, but just the machinery being so differently. Also, their downforce on those LMDHs is so aggressive. Everywhere you look, you see a micro wing or a huge wing on the rear as well. And of the GT3s, it's more of a road car being pumped up to be a race car, and with the LMDH, it's just what technology can bring you nowadays.
Yeah, these hypercars, with their hybrid engines, will have more horsepower and, as mentioned, a lot more aerodynamic power. So they're going to be able to take much more speed through those fast corners, and we'll see the difference out on track between the GT3s, where it is definitely trickier to drive as you've not got the reliance on aerodynamics you maybe have in the hypercar class, and that's why we saw such a close and exciting qualifying session there, with all the drivers pushing to the limits of those GT cars and trying to get the fastest time they could. And it really sets us up for an exciting next couple minutes here at Hockenheim. Again, a historic track with a lot of history, a lot of races taking place here over the years, and now we're going to see modern machinery pushed to the absolute limits on this great circuit today.
Hockenheim having seen a lot of different changes, being the first iteration going through the forest, what we saw, what we know back then, and now here on the inside is more looking like a shoe, what people say. Is interesting with that happen there at the start of Sector 2. It's a really cool to see just how tracks change over the years and what we get at the end. It's just really interesting to see, I must say.
Definitely, but a lot of changes here at Hockenheim over the past few years. What team do you think we should be looking out for as we head into hypercar qualifying? Who do you think is going to have the edge over the other drivers?
I have a few cars that I'm going to look at today. Obviously, Apex 1 again being two teams that I'm going to watch out for today. But 775 Esports having most of the lead last time in Shanghai when I was commentating my part. 775 team was always looking up on top. And ART Turtle Beach also a team that I'm going to have my eyes on.
All right, so some cars to look out for there who've been quick in qualifying before. Chances are Apex 1 are going to have at least one car near the front because they have 3 teams entered into Hypercar and 1 car entered into GT3. So they'll be looking for another big points haul today. Or at least setting themselves up for a big points haul tomorrow. But yes, we're going to have a close grid yet again here in Hockenheim with a couple different drivers set for a chance at pole position. And one thing I love about qualifying sessions is that you do see these guys push themselves to the limit. You know, in endurance racing, a lot of it is management. A lot of it is being smart with your lines and navigating traffic. But qualifying is where you really get to see the cars just absolutely go for it.
I mean, as you said, with the Apex 1 teams being 3 teams in LMDH and 1 in GT3s, last time in Shanghai, round 1, one of the Apex 1, the 61 car, getting that pole position here. Maybe even watching out for that, but last time in Shanghai, they didn't have the perfect race as they finished in P11. But we're going to see what they can do today, if they're going to bring out the pole position again, and maybe even tomorrow hold it out for.
I mean, that does go to show what we keep saying, though. Despite qualifying mattering a hell of a lot to a lot of these drivers and then wanting to maximize their qualifying position, at the end of the day, you can't write off any driver in an endurance race because luck, skill, and consistency also play a huge role in your final position.
I must say, with the luck as well involved in the race, being a 6-hour race, but then also you gotta watch out for the GT3s if you're an LMDHs. Obviously, your car being way faster there, maybe lapping them sounds easy on paper, but performing that on track of those speeds, it can end with a heartache as soon as one does a movement that you don't expect. So even if you get a good position in qualifying, in the race, your position can always switch up just that quickly with one other driver's mistake. You just really gotta watch out for on tracks. Also on tracks which are thin like this one. On some sectors, as after turn 1, there's just space for just 2 cars next to each other. If you're fighting in an LMDH and the GT3 is up ahead, one of them has to back out, and as a driver, you really do not want to back out.
We should, within the next minute, be starting to see these cars out on track, and we'll see just what Luca was talking about, how these cars, they really do find themselves on a very tight track, and they're very wide now, these hypercars, you know. They've got big engines in them, they've got a lot of aerodynamics, so being able to navigate traffic is going to be something that's hard for a lot of them in the race, but setting themselves up on a good qualifying position is going to mean you've got less people to overtake, which should mean you go faster if everything goes to plan. We've got a couple minutes for the cars to get out on track, get themselves warmed up, and we'll see a couple take advantage of that, some choosing to just stay in the pits and get themselves in the headspace for qualifying, and then our qualifying session will start. Here's the 71 Apex 1 car. They could be a contender for pole today.
Yeah, with the Apex 171 car, not having really the best of races in Shanghai, finishing P6, I believe, and maybe looking to bring glory to the team and being the Apex 1 car who gets pole today. As with 3 cars, 3 teams, you can always have also some strategic game, maybe getting the slipstream of your teammates as well in this session.
Yeah, and slipstream effect is going to be more important than in the GT3 qualifying session. Obviously, as mentioned before, especially by Luca, the GT3 cars relying more on mechanical/tire grip, whereas these cars can use more aerodynamic grip with the bigger, bulkier aerodynamics they have. So getting yourself the right distance from the car in front of you can be huge here, especially on a track with such a long straight, and you can take advantage of that slipstream effect. You can see all these cars bunched up close together, the 889 car taking the lead through the corner there.
With these cars, with GT3s, we said a few laps to get the tires in window and the fuel also in window, but with these cars you have a limited amount of battery which you want to burn on your hot lap, but not on other laps, as if you don't get your hot lap together, I believe these cars will just go immediately back to the pits and not do another lap, as the battery might not be as full as they want, or maybe the tires already being out of window. Even though the tires are made for endurance, they are special qualifying tires which are not really meant to go long distance and just have that one window, that one period where the cars are where they want to be. And we're gonna see now what the strategy is in qualifying, if they're gonna do a lot of laps or just after the one botched lap or one good lap if they go immediately back to the pits.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the differences. The tire compounds for all endurance cars always been a little bit more durable than, for example, your Formula Series cars. But, like you said, with hybrid engines and such, chances are you're going to get a push lap and then either a cooldown lap or just straight into the pits, new tires, and get yourself back out there. We can see a couple of different times here on the board. 145 obviously not going to be anywhere near a representative qualifying time, but a couple drivers might make it round after an out lap and have done a little bit of a push lap. You can see 157s there, but that's much slower than what our GT cars were doing. There we go, 125, more representative by Apex 1 there, what we might be close to seeing in qualifying. So you can see the lap time difference between GT and Hypercar.
Yeah, with these cars, taking curb is something you might want to do only on specific curbs. The GT cars taking all curbs that they exist. And with LMDH cars, you just see that one curb that's flat, they say, okay, this car can drive on it. But then there are curbs like turn 1. We saw the GT3s cutting that a lot, but the LMDHs just go around it as well. Also here after turn 16, I'm sorry, there's sausage curb on the exit. GT3 is just eating that like breakfast, but these LMDHs cannot do that for the life of them. You might even see the wall after taking it wrong. It's just really interesting to see. And also with braking, the tires heating might be also a story now of this LMDH car, as they just can only bring that one correct lap, and that the heating works correctly on that lap, but one lockup, you get a flat spot and overheat the tires, and for the next corners you just have no grip. As oi, what's happened there? Is the car's flying through the wall?
Practice is over now, so getting everyone back into the pits, and now these hypercars will be out for their actual qualifying session. So we saw a bit of a warm-up there, get them out on track, get everyone hooked up to the track, make sure everything's working properly, and make sure you're happy with your setup. Obviously, there's no fixed setups here, so you can change things between qualifying and during the qualifying session, and we're going to get these guys out for their qualifying session just now here at Hockenheim, and it'll be really exciting to see who can take pole position.
Yeah, I mean, the lap times are being very competitive. We saw in 1:25 there in practice. I don't think we're going to see that in qualifying. I think we're going to see even lower times. But we're just going to see what the drivers just can put together on, as I said, this track is on this track. And as I said, it's really complex track. Fast sections, slow sections, the setup might be really different for each driver. Some drivers wanting to have a more understeery car, some drivers just going for an oversteery car. Dan, for example, I know you like an understeery car. What's it like?
Oh, well, the difference really when you go for a more understeery setup, you definitely have it safer. The car steps out less from you, but you are probably going to lose some lap time. However, if you find it beneficial to drive a more planted car, you can find more consistency, and that can be what helps you to win races. Oversteery setups, they will slip out from you a little bit more, but generally tend to be the faster way around most circuits, unless you're maybe racing somewhere like Magny Core, which does tend to promote understeer somehow. But yeah, for the most part, the oversteer is slightly faster, but more unstable, and you'll see a lot of these faster drivers liking a pointy front end that they can get rotated very easily.
Yeah, now that they're out on track, what I really want to watch out for is how much distance they're going to bring from the car up ahead. As obviously Sector 1 being a fast section, the long left-hander just being a flat-out section altogether, but then you come to the hairpin, all the dirty air from these massive wings, unsettle the car too much, where you just don't really want your car to just slide out from you. So we're going to see what they're going to bring out here in qualifying and what they're going to look out for.
Yeah, I believe we may just be having another quick warm-up to make sure everything's working by my timing screens, but we'll see shortly when we may be moving on to the qualifying session. You can see the 99 car, the OC Racing X Lopen car here, and they've gone for that green design that really stands out on their hypercar. It's looking great, and yeah, interesting to see. You were mentioning earlier about the curbs and how you know, these cars are going to take probably a little bit less because they're a lot closer to the ground, and we're seeing that now, aren't we?
Yeah, there's just a lot of flat curbs which a car might take, as curbs are obviously designed for safety feature, with the bumpiness where you slow more down, but sometimes that extra track space, obviously as a racing there you want to take as much track as possible where you can open up the corner, the curbs being there just for that. And then there are also corners where curbs are just not meant to be taken, and it's just there for safety features. So it's, nowadays we don't really see that safety features. There has been some crashes where this curbs has worsened the crash, but overall curbs are there just for safety measurements, and the drivers always take as much as they can, taking all the track, all the curbs. It's everything that the system gives them. The car gives them, the track gives them, and as a driver, all cuts, corner cuts, if they're allowed, you can take them, and that's what we're gonna see now in qualifying.
Yep, so qualifying has officially started, and they have got, well, around 20 minutes, realistically, by the time they've found themselves a gap, got the tyre seated up, and got round the circuit once to set their fastest time. We're watching here Lasse in the OC Racing X Lopen car trying to set a fastest time. I wonder who will be getting pole position. It's open to play for from anyone, and that's the beauty about coming to these races, is you never know who's going to be on top. There can always be a surprise, especially with everyone in equal machinery. So, first couple drivers coming across the line to start their fast laps. It's going to be really exciting the next 25 minutes here at Hockenheim.
I mean, for pole position, as you said, it's a really open game. Apex 1 being on their A game, but also AOT Turtle. I haven't seen them in practice here much, but also being on the A game. But Keisha, 2 Mafia car, I've seen them going fast around here. There's gonna be a lot of cars I'm gonna have my eyes out for. As in Shanghai last race, the pace was just all on the cars were all the same. So we're gonna see what they can bring together here in this qualifying session, just being not the longest qualifying session. So sometimes when you think, oh, of a lap still takes 1.5 minutes to do. Also with an out lap and in lap, you always have to count them in. The 22 minutes aren't as long as you may think they are.
We're on board at the moment with the 32 car, and he's taking us round, was taking us round a fast lap of the circuit. We've currently hopped onto the 42, who looks like they'll be the first to set a representative lap time here at Hockenheim, and you can see how much of this twisty, tight Sector 3 these cars take up. They take up a lot of the road. We're about to round the final corner. The number 42 car is going to take provisional pole here. Let's see what the first lap time is. It is a 1:25.6 purple in the final sector, but there's other cars behind going faster. Here goes the number 91 car, the AOT Turtle Beach, and they put in a absolutely fantastic 1:24.9, but we've seen cars go faster still, even in practice. So there's definitely time left on the table here. Park Motorsport push themselves into current 4th. 775 Esports get themselves into 2nd place for now, but we'll see as it moves on. Here comes the first Apex 1 car. Let's see what they can do. The number 61. Oh, and it's 4th for them. 4th for those guys. Not quite provisional pole just yet. Still slipping into the 1:25. So maybe a little bit of fuel need to be burned off before we can start seeing some lower lap times.
Here now at the start of the session, we might not see all the competitive lap times yet. Maybe the drivers still wanting to get used to the car. This is again the first time after quite a bit that they get into the car. So at first they still want to get used to the car. Often in qualifying session, you don't see the fastest lap immediately. You see them more on the end of the session. But myself as a driver, I do like to put my fast lap at the beginning to know where I have to improve if I have to do another one. But each driver to their own, and mostly it's often where they put the fast lap at the end to just show the competitors to not show the competitors what your actual pace is, to just put at that lap, and this comes out to the surprise for everyone else.
I'm sure at the beginning of qualifying as well, these guys just getting used to the track again. Obviously, they would have been practicing, but sometimes it does take a little bit of extra. And AOT Turtle Beach have put themselves on provisional pole, so it's going to be close between them. We'll see if anyone can top them at the moment. But yeah, like you were saying, sometimes these drivers just wanting to get ingrained with the track. I'm sure they'd all like to put themselves on provisional pole as early as possible, but it does take time, and it does take confidence as well, which you don't always have at the start of qualifying. Petronas Cynthium goes 12th.
Yeah, I mean, as a driver here, new track as well. Even if you practice, there's always the pressure now, knowing that this is the one time where all that practice comes to play. You just want to show your pace, but mistakes can always happen. As you see some cars already sliding around, pushing to the limits and beyond, and it's just interesting to see what each driver just can do with the car and just put together. As I said, this being the actual session now, so all the practice, maybe in practice you're like, it's just practice, I can relax a bit more and do the laps, and then you go into the actual session and the pressure just hits you like a bus, and that's when sometimes a block comes on your head and you just can't do it anymore.
It is such a mental sport as well as a physical one, and the 71 Apex 1 car about to set their first representative lap time. Let's see where they go. They go third fastest at the moment after a purple Sector 2, but they were slower in Sector 1 and Sector 3. And oh, Park Motorsports stopped on the side of the track. Are they waiting to go for their qualifying lap? No, they're waiting to get themselves into the pits after clearly suffering from an incident there.
Yeah, incidents being also something you want to watch out for. Look out for, because if you damage your car, the time that you need to go back to pits or do another out lap, it increases, and time limits being something that most drivers are suffering from in qualifying. As a session, this being an endurance race, the car is obviously made for 6-hour stints and more, 6-hour races and more. But then there's a qualifying where you just all that throws away. It's basically a one-shot quali as well for some. Sometimes the lap time just doesn't come around, and you have to put that one lap in. All that practice for long runs just goes out the window as you just need to do that one lap.
Certainly, the pressure is on. AOT Turtle Beach have gone purple in Sector 2. We're going to ride on board with them as we head into this final sector. You can see how late they're able to brake in these hypercars with a lot more downforce, obviously a lot stronger brakes than GT cars as well, and we'll see the lines they take and how different they are. Going a little bit further away from all of the curbs, not risking the sausage curb there. We'll see if they're still up on their delta as they slide a little bit on exit round the final corner, but it is an improvement, a 124.8, and they're clear 3/10 at the moment on provisional pole.
It's interesting to see. It looks like AOT Turtle Beach has gone to put the most practicing with a 3/10 gap, but we still haven't seen probably the most pace from Apex 1 cars and the 775 esports team. As I said before, sometimes the fastest laps will come out in the end of the session, we're just being 5 minutes in. And it's always something that can always happen here.
Let's see what the 891 car can do across the line. They moved themselves into the top 10, just 10th place from then, 8/10 off of pole at the moment. What's really interesting to me is I believe GLS, the number 32 car, did match a 124.8 in the practice just before the qualifying session. So there's definitely other drivers out there who can set this pace, but maybe the lap times just aren't coming to them at the moment.
We also have to think about the temperatures of the track being different between sessions. Maybe in practice they got used to this one temperature, but then the other second practice session comes where the temperatures might be better for the car and the tires grip more. And then qualifying always at different temperatures. Temperatures playing an important role as the tires need to be on that window only opening if the temperatures are there as well. So yeah, we're just gonna see what if these temperatures are messing up these drivers a little.
Here come the 899 cars. Sorry, they've been flying through Sector 1 and 2. Where can they put themselves? It's into provisional P2 for the Kicha to Mafia Capone team. And immediately topped by 775 Esports, who moved themselves onto provisional pole by less than a 10th. What a lap from them. Purple in Sector 3, but still time to be gained in Sector 1 for sure from these guys.
It looks like their setup is being more made for cornering as Sector 1. We see it being a very fast section, not gaining a lot of time thanks to downforce. But then in the end of Sector 2 and Sector 3, just being a lot of corners where you want your wings, your mechanical grip and your aerodynamics hitting your car perfectly. We're just gonna see maybe if their setup is built different, made different as the AOT Turtle Beach, or maybe if they didn't even hit, or we see other teams like Apex 1 maybe not hitting that setup at all, or maybe not even getting that lap that they want to.
On board with the 775 team, and they're going to be really happy that they're on provisional pole at the moment, but there's still cars who are going faster than their best times behind them, so they're going to have to keep pushing, seeing if there's any more lap time they can find. They did go green in Sector 1, Yellow through Sector 2, though, and we saw a little bit of a weave, and they're going to pull into the pits. So clearly weren't up on their lap time. But you can see the precision with which these guys are driving with as right on board. And the number 51 Apex 1 car, surprisingly having some issues here. Not able to set a lap yet. And I doubt they're actually 30 seconds off the pace. But they've clearly invalidated or had spins or just not had the right traffic window to set something just yet. So we'll see what they can do. Because at the moment, they're going pretty quick.
Yeah, it's the racing though. You always have to think for track limits as well. Maybe the car works as you want it, but then as a driver, as you see that turn 10, the exit, just taking too much grip and even going off it and maybe embedding the lap. As a driver, you want to stick that lap, keep it on the track, which is probably the most important part of doing a lap. And sometimes maybe your pace being very strong, but just your consistency not hitting the mark that you wanted to hit.
They do set a valid lap time and move themselves into 4th. So clearly the curb on turn 10 been quite generous there as GLS put themselves into P3, or as well, less than half a tenth off of pole. Oh, sorry, just over half a tenth off of pole. That's quite impressive. So again, a 3-way fight at the moment between provisional pole positions. So these guys all getting faster and faster as the session goes on, and still cars going quickly. Let's see what the OC Racing team can do. I wonder if Oscar will be cheering them on from the sidelines as they cross the line, and it's an improvement into 9th. Well done to those guys, push themselves into the top 10. They can be proud of that. It's a very competitive field we've got here.
Yeah, we look at. I'm interested to see what's gonna happen at the end of the session. The pace going gradually up, which we saw in GT3 as well happening. That the pace just goes faster and faster, and the cars just improving each time they go around the track. As you see, the Keisha Tumafa's team improving as well, going up to P9. It's just what I want to see as a commentator and as a viewer as well. Just something you always want to watch out for. Maybe your favorite team not getting that lap time at the beginning and just showing that maybe they have the pace but not able to open it up. But then near the end of the session, everyone gets to that window where they warmed up, get into that mentality of doing a faster lap, and then getting that magic lap that they want to put in.
And this field is so competitive, so getting that magic lap you want to put in is going to be crucial, because only 1.5 seconds separate P1 and P19 at the moment. Remember, there were 90 separate driver entrances into Project Endurance this season, so you've got plenty of people to choose from to race against, and I'm sure they all have a fast driver between them as the 775 team continue to go faster. They've gone green in Sector 1. They're using all of that exit curb from turn 10. Let's see if they can find anything in this twisty final sector that is crucial to your lap, probably one of the hardest parts of the track. And also to mention that the 61 Apex 1 car have pushed themselves in the fight for pole position, in my opinion. Just 0.13 off there. Let's see if 775, they improve and widen their margin on pole. They are absolutely flying out there.
Yeah, we saw on that onboard that the lights were flashing for the grip levels. The car was saying, I'm losing grip, but the driver just not focusing at all on that and just keeping it together, which sometimes, as you said before, over Stevie setups being where the car slides more, but being more on lap time. I mean, maybe when the car saying, I can't do it, but the driver manages to make the car work, it just gains the time that some drivers maybe not have the confidence to do.
Apex 1 are looking confident, though, as they close in to 775 Esports themselves into P2 at the moment. The 69 car, they're running last for now. They were a stand-in entrance for another driver, for another team. So we'll see what they can do, see if they can push themselves above any other cars in this qualifying session.
Yeah, now that the qualifying session has come down to over the halfway mark, drivers still going for their lap, but I believe that a few drivers now calm down, maybe look at where they've lost the time, look at the delta, saying them, here in this corner you have time to gain, here in this corner you did it perfectly. So I believe now these laps are still for speed, but also to understand what the car does.
And that was an absolutely astronomical lap from the 75 car. They've gone 2/10, nearly 3/10 clear of P2. With a green sector 1, a green sector 2, and a purple sector 3. Just showing when you've got confidence, when you've got synergy between car and driver, you can absolutely fly out there. And we'll see if Apex One or AOT Turtle Beach have another 3/10 in them. It's a lot to find.
I believe this session only being 8 minutes long, that the pressure gets even more and more. Seeing that your competitor, the 775 esports team, just gaining their 3/10, you're as a driver thinking like, where did he gain that? Where can I gain that? The pressure getting on, maybe you're pushing more the car. I believe we're gonna see some more sprints now as I just said it, Aussie Racing goes off the track there. Yeah, I mean the pressure now being more and you wanting to get more on that edge of the car, getting that limit, but you just maybe can't and just spin off the track.
I'm going to have to contact Lasse and let him know that you commentators cursed him there on his lap. Saying we're going to see some spins, and he immediately has one. 891, the Keisha team, the other one. They've got a couple entrances across multiple categories here. They've gone green through their first 2 sectors. Now they've just got to manage this tight and twisty sector 3. You can see rounding the final couple corners, avoiding traffic. That one there seemed to put them off a little bit. It wasn't on the apex, but it's close enough that you start to doubt yourself. They're about to cross the line. Hopefully it didn't affect them too much. And they do improve, but not enough. Push them into 11th. So not quite able to get too much more out of the lap there.
Yeah, with these faster cars, the time difference only being like 2/10 or 3/10. Oh, it looks close, but if we see them on track with 2/10, it is a mile for the car between those. So with these fast cars, 2/10 is way more to gain than in GT3s when it's a 2/10 gap.
Definitely, it's a shorter lap, so therefore the smaller increments of time, they do matter more, but it's good to see that the field spread is still so close across all of these categories of racing. Clearly, we've got a talented bunch of drivers here that are all capable of fighting for points, podiums, and wins when it comes to it over a 6-hour race that will be tomorrow. Let's see on board with Apex One what they can do. They've got to hit the apexes if they want to get a fast lap time. They're currently going faster than their best time, but they've lost a little bit through Sector 2. They're getting close to the wall as they enter the fast turn 10 and use the curve. It's looking hooked up from the off-board view. You can see them hitting the apex, looking like they're carrying enough speed through all of these corners, but is it going to be enough to find that 3/10 to 775 esports? I would hesitantly guess at no. They may improve this lap. We'll see if they found anything in the final corner, and they go across the line. But not quite enough to push them towards pole position. Unlucky from Apex One there.
Yeah, here, I believe it's turn 12. I did a mistake before, but this track, this corners being all just, I say frame perfect, but that's a video game. In real life, it's just getting that centimeter, getting that tire where it just gets that multiple grip. The session also closing to an end. The marbles on the outside growing more and more, the dirty tarmac. The grip levels maybe getting better on the racing line, but worse on the offline. So now we're gonna see some set lines which every car might start to take.
And there's certainly still time to be found here because AOT Turtle Beach have gone purple in Sector 2. They're about to round the final couple corners, after, just like Pro Endurance have done, but I don't know if it's going to be enough for pole position. Let's see. It's not quite. AOT Turtle Beach remain in second despite improving through Sector 2 and 3.
We're now closing to the end of the session with 5 minutes remaining. Now the pressure being there for all the drivers. A 775 team still with a 3/10 gap. And now the drivers behind them also looking now to stretch all the time to get as much. Not saying, okay, I still have a bit of time. Now is the time they have to do it, or else the position might not change.
Yeah, you've got to make the most of it, and you can see here all the drivers trying to come back out and make as much as they can of these last couple minutes of qualifying, as we've got a big train down that long Hockenheim straight towards the hairpin. But yeah, it's really interesting to see. We're going to have a couple drivers moving out the way to make room for AOT Turtle Beach, who have, I believe, invalidated on this lap. So it's looking unlikely they'll improve. Let's see if the 666 car... sorry, the 665 car can do anything for us of Wadjor Racing. They have a GT3 team. This is their hypercar team. We'll see if they can close the gap towards the front of the field. Currently 7/10 off the pace, using a bit more curb than we've noticed from other cars there. Interesting, and no, they've clearly thought it's not a good enough lap and pulled into the pits.
Yeah, with groups like these where they go out on track at once, I've been talking about the slipstream and the dirty air. Now's the time where everything needs to play perfectly for the drivers. Getting that slipstream isn't up, but then when there's a corner and the dirty air hits you, dirty air affecting the car in different ways, sometimes understeering, sometimes oversteering, so you can't predict what the dirty air does. So with groups like these, we saw some drivers letting the cars by, and sometimes even staying in front, saying, he's my rival, maybe if I stay in front, do my lap, the car behind might not get the lap time that I wanted to get. So yeah, it's going to see if these groups of cars spreading out or not. I see a turn, I believe that is turn that happened after the sector 1. Turn 6, yeah, it's a happen. Well, 3 cars went through it, so the dirty air might affect it, but that's just a corner that where the dirty air, you really don't want it.
No, especially heading into the final sector as well, which we know is corners. There's no slipstream effect really through there. You want to avoid that dirty air. The 71 car of Apex 1, not quite able to match the 61 and 51 counterparts, so they are more spread out than we saw in Shanghai. But they're about to come across the line. They've gone green through Sector 1. Looks like they had found a bit more time on this lap. Will they be able to move themselves up? And they do. They push themselves ahead of the 51 car and take 6th place. That's a good result for Apex 1's other team.
They're closing in on the final laps of qualifying. So now it's now or never to get your fast lap in. If you don't get it, you might just say goodbye to the session and just end it there and look for tomorrow's race. But all of these drivers still going for full pace. We're gonna see what these drivers now gonna put together. Now knowing that the final minute, a mistake is now the most crucial to your your session, to your position for the race start.
Well, one team that finally managed to get their lap together was OC Racing, ex-Lopen. They've put themselves into the top 5, being able to find quite a bit of time there. Interestingly, looking just down the order, the car in 10th, GLS, who I said were quick during the warm-up session, have just gone purple in Sector 1. They're rounding the hairpin now. We saw in the warm-up they had the pace to be near the front. It's not worked out for them quite yet in this qualifying session, but now they seem to be finding some time. Let's see if they're still improving through Sector 2. It looks like they're finding time. You can see they're heading on to the back straight a little bit slower through Sector 2, but they're still up on their delta. It's going to be a good result for them if they can maintain pace. They're heading through the final sector using that curb there. That shouldn't be a track cut issue. We've seen drivers get way wider and maintain their laps, and Petronas off the track. It may impede some other cars, not quite. We'll see what the 32 car can do. They're rounding the final couple corners. Here we go, round this last corner. It's gone purple Sector 1. It was yellow Sector 2. What can they do through this final part of the track? And they moved themselves into 8th. What a lap. Well done to those guys. As we're ending qualifying.
Yeah, we're seeing here a bit the pressure now getting to the drivers. Now at the end of the qualifying session, the final lap for the drivers are still driving. Says the One Vision, both cars having a spin there, maybe even a crash. I haven't seen that yet. But yeah, they're saying that's it for our session, finishing 12th and 16th respectfully. The 775 car here also going. I see that in the background, someone going way into the gravel, overshooting a lot. But yeah, it's just interesting that the session is over. So I believe there's going to be end for every car, so I want to go through the grid here again.
Yeah, looking at the timing sheets, like you said, looks like it's going to be the end for all of these cars here. The first thing to talk about is 775 esports time. A 0.288, as you're seeing, gap between themselves and Apex 1 is absolutely massive. A dominant qualifying display from them. In second is Apex 1, who struggled at the start to set a lap time, but the 61 team did get themselves sorted and have put in a solid P2 performance. Then AOT Turtle Beach taking up third. GLS taking fourth after they put in a really good last little lap. OC Racing X Lopen managed to get themselves into the top 5 after struggling near the bottom of the top 10 for some of the race, so we'll see what they can do tomorrow. The 891 and the 899 Keisha teams, both next to each other with barely any time separating them, take 6th and 7th. GLS, who at the end were in 10th, but managed to keep themselves a bit further up after a stunning first sector, they managed to put 8th in, and Apex 1's other two teams take up the last 2 spots of the top 10 in 9th and 10th. And you can see the rest of the teams heading down to 19th, separated by just 1.6 seconds from pole.
Yeah, with the gap being so minimal, it's such a competitive grid. It's so nice to see for the viewer and us, the commentators. It's really nice to see that all the drivers, like, fighting as well. We saw them qualifying, a few overtakes here and there. I can't wait to see tomorrow in the race what each driver will do respectfully on turn 1, as we know that's a fast corner, right-hander on the race start, but also altogether what all kind of overtakes we see. At some corners we know that only one line is possible, but as a racing goer, you always can think of something and take in line that we've never seen. So I can't wait to see tomorrow's race.
Yeah, we've seen some great qualifying action from not just our hypercars, but our GT3s today. And it's shown us how close the grids are for tomorrow's race, which you'll have up on the screen momentarily. But just to sum up what we've seen there, it was really exciting stuff. All the drivers pushing the limits. And again, a absolutely superb performance from the 75 car. Those guys were just flying. And you said they were ones to watch. So, if you're excited for the race tomorrow, make sure you let us know over at Project Endurance. It's been really fun watching qualifying. I'm very honored to have been a part of it. Again, the GT3s were so close. You can see there all times in the CEST time zone. Race start at 1 o'clock Sunday. 6 hours later at 7 o'clock, it will end in the afternoon. And Captain, you'll be there as well, so I'm sure you're looking forward to that.
Yes, I can't wait to see you. I'll be in the middle part of the race, so there's going to be a lot of action, or maybe even no action, so I can't wait to see what's going to happen tomorrow during my stint, and I can't wait to also commentate again tomorrow.
Seems like you can't wait for anything, but thank you all for joining us for qualifying today here at Project Endurance. My name's Dan No Skill. I've been joined by Luca Centorbi, and it's been an absolute honor to have you here for this qualifying hour. Have a good rest of your Saturdays, and we'll see you all later.
Goodbye.